mind. Obviously want to send out heartfelt condolences and just thoughts and prayers with the family of Ben Jones, who was the head coach at Cranbrook Kingswood High School, or their head coach there, the football program. So I know that the community's hurting, and just obviously thinking of him, his family, and everybody in that football organization. So a couple things here just on the roster. Also, we released Caleb Benenoch this morning, and we signed Will Clark, defensive lineman. And then for practice today, right now, Hunter Bryant will be out and Bo Scarborough. Everybody else, we're kind of still working through the morning, checking on where everybody's at. So I think that's it. Kind of jump right into questions here.
All right, Rothstein.
Hey, Matt, how are you? I'm just curious. Tracy Walker looks like he's been running with the second team the last few days in team drills. Why are you choosing to do that with Tracy?
Again, I think, I wouldn't get caught up on first team, second team, all that stuff right now. We're trying to practice and do rotations, especially with a very deep safety group. Tracy, Will Harris, obviously Duran, Curse, CJ Moore. A lot of times we like to spin the different matchups in the different groups, and certainly the packages based on the situations that we're in. So maybe we're running a couple different packages from that aspect of it, but everybody's in competition, everybody's pushing through. And certainly at the safety position, there's a lot of communication that takes place there in that group. And, sometimes we like to change up who's practicing together on different days to work on different communication levels. So from that aspect of it, it's a really great group. It's a great room. I think those guys are working really hard, and I'm excited for the competition every day with all those guys.
And Desmond Trufant hasn't done any teamwork the last 2 days. Is he dealing with something, or is this just an extended veterans kind of chill period? Or
yeah. Probably not a lot of chill periods for me at practice, but I mean, there is a little bit of maintenance that I think that we're always conscious of with all of our players. And again, I think especially knowing what training camp looks like this year and the length and kind of the timelines of things that we're working on. We are very conscious of different types of tight, stiff, sore. A lot of it having to do with not playing football or being in football type drills and things like that. So just trying to make sure that we do our due diligence on our side to protect the players when we know that it's going to be either, a high tempo, maybe it's a little bit more longer type running than shorter type running drills. We work a lot of deep balls, things like that, where we're worried about guys opening up as opposed to maybe some short area work, things like that. So if we can get the individual work in, certainly we're going to do all that stuff and then kind of gauge the team periods as we go, what's necessary from just overall health and safety standpoint.
Mojo.
Hi there, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Obviously, margins are very narrow in the NFL, and games are one possession. And a lot has been made of you guys leading in almost every game last year, leading in the fourth quarters, and players have talked about this notion of the dagger to finish games. Do you look at it as you're close and that means you can close that gap, or how big of a gap is it to be a team that finishes games in the fourth quarter? Like, how much has to change for that to happen?
Yeah. It's a great question and a lot of great conversation, I would say, inside of our building too. I would say a bunch of different thoughts there. Number one, certainly the situations we were in last year, I think we can all look at those and say collectively, how could we have closed those out better? How could we have maybe done something different or handled situations differently to be able to, be on the plus side of the win column in those situations. We also know on the flip side of that last year is last year, and this year's team is different and will be different on the field, and the opponents that we play will be different. And that's the NFL. It changes every year. But I think from a mindset, that's a good standpoint for us to try to say, okay, hey, when we get in these situations, how do we really do certain things to allow us to be in a position to, win more of those games and capitalize on those scenarios. Certainly in the fourth quarter, there's different things that come up from situational football to time of possession to the opponent that you're playing. So we certainly look at all those. But just overall right now, we want to just play better all the way through the game for 60 minutes. And hopefully in the end of those, we'll close them out. But certainly a great learning lesson for us last year of trying to get over that hump to close those out in the fourth quarter compared to, where we want to be this year. There's also a lot of it that always says, the last inch is always the hardest. So, we know that it's becomes very difficult when you're trying to break through those scenarios, and a lot of it's mindset. And that's what we're trying to do right now.
And just a quick follow-up, I imagine the running game is a big part in applying the dagger, but it can also be applied by the defense, can't it, as far as a huge stop at the end of a game?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the game. Can be all three phases, really, right? Special teams. I mean, certainly a great punt, great field position. That'll be a big part of it too. Being able to control field position that in that phase, it's really all three phases working together. That's how it is. I think that's one of the biggest things in the game of football, that as a team, when you really get to that concept of all three phases, it's not one phase. It's not offense. It's not or the defense. It's not or special teams. All three phases affect the game, and it affects how one of the other phases has to respond to those situations. So certainly there's games where maybe one or two phases are going to step up and have better days than maybe another phase. And that's how it goes, in those aspects. And we've seen that in the past. But certainly for the most part, you got to at least win two of the three phases, to try to be in a successful position at the end of the game. So it's really the totality of the game.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brown.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
All right. When you watch training, I know it's training camp, but some guys just look like they know how to play as soon as they come in. Tell me what you think of Quintez Cephas, and he just looks like a natural out there.
Yeah, Cephas is he's really kind of just caught on to everything we're doing. I think that he has some extremely natural skill sets for the wide receiver position. I think some of the movement that he has, he's a big guy, he's got a lot of suddenness and quickness at the top of his routes. I think maybe you don't really think he's going to have that type of quickness because of his size, but he does. Certainly, I think the guys on defense are studying him a little bit harder right now and trying to get a good grip on what exactly he is so they can go out and compete. But I think he's doing an excellent job of learning the offense, but really learning the individual technique. And, he has a little bit of that just football savvy, maybe, if you want to call it, about him that, is allowing him to maybe handle the mental part of it, but also show off some of the skill set individually that he has.
Go three more, Justin, Dave, then Larry.
Morning, Matt.
Good morning.
So it's a hot day out, humid day. Former Lions coach Jim Caldwell used to really revel in these days as an opportunity to kind of get his team ready for the regular season. Do you see hot weather like this similarly as I guess a benefit to getting your guys ready for the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably know that I revel in all weather whenever we can take the opportunity to practice in all different types just to be ready to go. So whether it's extremely hot, extremely cold, snow, rain, sleet, sunshine, clouds, I don't really care. We're just going to go outside and play. I do think it's good during training camp, and obviously we're in a little bit of a different training camp, but to get some heat, get some humidity going from that standpoint and see our conditioning levels as we go through camp. But certainly we got to be safe in that accord too. I would say we're not, into training camp for, call it, August 23rd, as far as we normally would be. So if we were traveling to like a Houston or going to a hot weather place to go play a game, we'd have a lot more under our belt here from a conditioning standpoint and a practice standpoint. So I do want to be conscious of that as we're going through, but we'll take the heat. That'll be great.
I do seem to recall something about you guys liking to practice in the snow, but I did want to build on Mike's question a little bit with Tracy Walker, Will Harris, Harmon, that kind of rotation you got going back there. We talk all the time about chemistry in the offensive line and how important it is to build. I assume we're probably going to see a lot of situations with Walker and Harmon on the field together this year. What kind of chemistry do those guys need to build? How important is it at that position?
Yeah, I mean, it's critical. The safety position is one of the major communicators on the defense, along with the linebackers, and certainly trying to get communication from a safety position. The way the defense looks, if you kind of draw a line down the middle, the safeties are the one that tie it to the linebackers to the front, and then basically outside to the perimeters of their side. So certainly knowing what you're communicating to your side, and then being able to relay that back to your other safety partner is really important from the overall concept of the defense. So those guys working together and being comfortable with all of them, Will Harris and like I said, Curse, all those guys, CJ Moore, when he's in there, that becomes really important for us. There's the communication piece. And a lot of times, on the football field, we talk about this all the time, especially offensive line and really in the secondary quite a bit. because there's a lot of post-snap communication that takes place, whether you're trying to recognize routes or, give in-cut alerts or underneath routes or whatever the communication might be. And a lot of times you just kind of lock into the voice. You're not going to see the guy. You're not necessarily going to see the person, but even through crowd noise, you'd be amazed that the more familiar you get with your teammates and the more you have that kind of, that kind of bond of playing experience with each other. It can be really, really loud in there and you can still hear that in-cut call, and you just kind of hone into those types of communications. So, that's a big part of it, especially at the secondary level. Absolutely.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Dave?
Good morning, Matt. Two things for you. NFL.com just said that there were some irregularities with some of the testing from yesterday, the COVID testing, and a bunch of teams have canceled practice or delayed practice. Just wondering if that's affected you guys at all. Did you have anything? There's no holdups today or anything?
No, we're good. Nothing to report that we're gonna go out and practice. I hadn't heard that.
Okay. And then number two, and this is more, I guess, looking ahead a couple weeks, but I was curious when it comes to roster management, bigger practice squads this year, the chance that you might need to pull somebody up right before a game. How likely is it, do you think, that teams, yourself included, keep specialists, be it a long snapper, a kicker, punter, whoever? And same thing, can both of your punters kick, I guess, too? And you have to look at that if they can kick field goals as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's a huge part of the conversation. It's probably different for every team, though, Dave. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what their situation is with the specialist. But I certainly think that, one of the things we always try to do with our practice squad is, we're always trying to keep guys on the practice squad that we think at some point can help us or play in a game or develop into those scenarios. So that is something we always look for. And whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, that's all going to be a part of it. And certainly for our case with the specialists and the competition that we have there, when we get down to it, we'll see where that goes. The kicking side of it is a big part of it, and making sure that guys cross train there from the kickoffs to the punts to the field goals. All of those are, up for play in those scenarios. I've definitely been in games too before where, your backup field goal kicker was a wide receiver, actually played against one, Wes Welker, all of a sudden walked out there and was kicking field goals and kicking off. And, I was just trying to cover him in the slot at the time. So you never know where that backup position is going to come from. I think I was also on the field one time, Doug Flutie hit a drop kick. So, we look at all avenues there from that, but the specialists, I think, are totally in play for that conversation. Sure.
Thank you.
Larry, last question.
Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
In what specific ways do you hope or know you're a better coach than you were a year or two ago? The pandemic kind of gave you an extra chance to self-scout yourself and your staff. In what ways do you think you're a better coach than you were when you got this opportunity 2 years ago, for example?
Yeah. Really probably a pretty deep, good question. I don't really know if I have for you 18 minutes before we walk on the practice field, but certainly
I'll take a minute.
Yeah. Certainly a lot of time to reflect on that stuff in the off season. And I think, one of the things that you try to get into when you're a head coach or a new head coach is get into a rhythm, what kind of fits best for you, the team, and what, the direction that you're pushing and getting to know the organization and all that stuff. So I would say that, hopefully I've improved in some of those areas. I try to get better every day. So certainly I'm looking at all those different avenues, but just getting the team in rhythm and getting it going in the direction that we need to go in is huge for me and for the organization. And, I think that maybe frees you up to do maybe some other things or just kind of handle other situations maybe a little bit better than maybe in the past where you're kind of bogged down with other things that are coming at you in different directions.
You got one example of that?
I don't. I wish I did. If I think of one, I'll let you know.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Perfect. Sounds good. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, practice.
Yeah, let's go.
Several practices. We have phenomenal athletes in this room for sure. It's different type of receivers. It's not just one type of receiver. So I really feel that this year will be the year that, we get to showcase, who we truly are. Just moving, Agnew, over to our side, bringing in like a gadget receiver. Cephas is coming in, making plays, being a phenomenal, guy he is. And then, of course, it starts with the leaders, Marv, Dola, Kenny, myself. I really feel like this year we should be really explosive.
Justin?
$37 yards per catch, probably
not something that's repeatable, but being able to show what you can do at different levels of the field, short, intermediate. What have you been able to show this training camp that maybe you didn't get an opportunity to show last year?
Well, now it's more of like, working on, my game. Deep ball is something that I'm, pretty good at, I would like to think. And so, with that, I feel like, that's always going to be something that I'm great at. As far as with the intermediate, I'm working every day, day in and day out to, master that. Right now, it's not the easiest thing, to, just come from running strictly deep balls to, trying to work intermediate. But I feel like I'm adjusting pretty well. And I've learned a lot from the guys, like I said, Marvin, Dola, Kenny. They've taught me so much about, the intermediate. And like I said, I feel like I'm transitioning pretty well.
Kyle?
Yeah, so I guess to build off that question, that was my question as well. I guess to build off it, Marvin, what did you do this offseason to maybe round out your game to show more parts of your game besides just the deep ball?
Well, I had, my trainer, we worked on a lot of like intermediate things, like, working on slants, unders, ends, comebacks, different type of routes. I just incorporated a lot of that. And, it's a lot of drills that you can do, of course, one-on-ones outside of here. And just like I said, just trying to perfect my craft to the best of my ability.
Got time for a couple more? Anybody has one?
Yeah, I can go again. Jamal Agnew is making the move to offense full time, and he's flash some upside as well. Just curious what you've seen from him so far in his move to receiver.
Oh man, Agnew's he's a baller. No matter what, when the ball's in his hand, the ball's in the air, I feel like that guy. He says it's mine. And I'm going to do something with it. He's made a great transition. He's a phenomenal guy, and like I said, I feel like he's going to do really well this year for this core.
Larry?
Give us your take on the end of practice fun with the punters, and is that something that shows Patricia is perhaps evolving in his role as a coach and maybe something he wouldn't have done before?
Well, it's just competition. It's what he preaches. He's always been like this since I've been here, and I feel like he will continue to be that way. It was just fun to, see the punters get out there and compete against each other and just see the energy that the guys brought, to bring the best out of the two punters. So it was actually a great thing that he did that.
All right. Last question.
I know you're pretty close with Trufant. Just what does he bring to the team? You guys have had a close relationship, obviously, for a few years now. Just what type of player are the Lions getting in him, and just that relationship too? How close are you guys?
That's my guy. Like I said, he's took on that big brother role since the day I met him. True is a great guy. He's pretty quiet. He doesn't really say too much. He just comes in and work. And like I said, one word that would describe him, he's a dog. That's what we did get. We got a dog to where, he's not going to back down from anything. He's not the biggest guy, but he's really feisty. He's a great corner. He's really smart. And like I say, Trufant's going to do wonderful this year, like he's been doing.
All right. Thanks, Marvin. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back with Jamal Agnew and Ragland.
Appreciate it, Marvin.
You sprinted 100 yards after an interception. And then can you just speak to the camaraderie it showed, just the celebration and the excitement that the teammates had after that to pile on you in the end zone? And does that just speak to kind of some of the camaraderie you guys are building on that side of the ball?
Last time I did call the interception went that far as when I picked off Patrick in practice last year. And you see how that turned out. We ended up winning the Super Bowl. So hopefully the same thing can go on this year. And it just speaks to the type of room we have in the inside backer room, because, man, everybody's playing for one another. I know we all competing for the same jobs and whatnot, but if you was to hang around us, you really couldn't tell. Like, we always about lifting each other up, making each other better, and just keep playing hard. And Coach Ty's doing a great job with us. So I'm excited about this room, man, because we got a lot of great guys, a lot of guys that's talented. And all they did was just add me and Elijah and Jamie this year to solidify that group and just make us a good group. So it's just all about keep getting better and being consistent out there on the field and leading everybody on defense.
Ben?
Hey, what's going on, Reggie? Appreciate the time.
Appreciate you.
Going back to interception, it looks like you made a really nice read on that play. 1 week of practice, new teammates, new system. How comfortable are you feeling? And just like what's helping you make reads like that, exercise that patience like that?
At night, just studying my job responsibility. And then one thing about Coach Ty, he always preaching like do your job, but if you can make a play, make a play. And all I did was just do my job, hold off the outside of the running back, and then just read Matt's eyes, and then all I did was go up and just make a play. So it's all about just being a playmaker and knowing what I'm doing. So my thing is I'm asking my teammates questions, I'm asking the coaches questions on how to keep getting better in this system and in this scheme. So my job is to keep getting better day by day, even though I know I'm behind the 8 ball with no OTAs and things like that. But in this league, it ain't no excuse. So you got to keep getting better and just keep finding ways of getting better out there on the field.
You think you would have beat Stafford to the end zone at 100%? Yeah.
You damn skippy, I would have. So, yeah, I would have. He told me in the locker room he would have caught me, but he wouldn't have caught me. I'm telling you that. Now, with some fresh legs on game day, I'm gone.
Tim?
Hey, Matt, Patricia talks a lot about this defense being multiple and loving the fact that he's got guys that can play a lot of different roles. It looks like they're cross-training you guys a lot in that linebacker room as well. I know you're playing the jack, playing inside some, doing a lot of different things. Do you like that about this defense? Is just it seems like you can play a lot of different roles depending on the package and the situation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love being able to fact that I can play outside and inside. It gives me more chances to get on the field and play in this scheme. So, and then to give our coaches, scheme-wise, to put us everywhere on the field. And, because by the time the season hits, it doesn't matter where we line up at. So, we all going to know the spot. So, it's a good thing to keep our offenses guessing to where guys going to be at. So, it's very good for us. The more we can do, the more we can get out there on the field and play, and the coach is going to open up the playbook and just let us play.
Justin, last one.
Hey, good to talk to you again, Reggie.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. You mentioned the lack of OTAs and kind of getting acclimated on the fly. Just wondering, your experience from when you went to Buffalo to Kansas City, really late in the process there, how much could you take away from that experience and getting acclimated quickly in KC and apply that to your situation here?
Oh, man, I could take it all the way back to Bama with Coach Saban. And that situation really made me grow up from being a high schooler and then, really playing with grown men going into my freshman year at Alabama. So you really got to grow up faster and you got to think faster. And, now this is my 5th year in the league. So, I'm considered a vet and, I'm one of the oldest in the room. So I got to be on my job and I got to consistently keep showing and striving to keep getting better and just finding ways to help myself and my teammates out there on the field. So it ain't no excuses. I'm coming into a new system, a new locker room, but my job, me as the person I am, I like to get around my guys and get to know them and understand them as a person. And I think my teammates like me so far, but for me, just come in, just getting comfortable and just having fun, man. And don't come in being arrogant, that's not my personality at all. But I just want to come in, have fun, win games, and then, cruise, if that makes sense. So, everywhere I've went, I've won, besides my first year at Buffalo when I got hurt and tore my ACL. But then went to Kansas City. We won the Super Bowl there, and then we just kept inching and getting better. So I see the same qualities in this team as in Kansas City. We got the pieces. We just got to keep putting them together and just keep playing hard and being consistent and just keep finishing. So, and I think we got the guys to do that. We just got to go out there and just play ball.
Where are the media bleachers located? We get a good look at some of the one-on-one drills between the linebackers and running backs. Looks like those running backs are a handful to cover. Is that accurate? What have you seen from those guys, particularly as pass catchers?
Oh man, we have some hell of a running back. So, but I don't see them out there just giving us a problem. Yesterday we handled our own. Today we handled our own, I believe so. So we just got to keep getting better and making each other better. So, and we have the guys on both sides to do what we have to do as far as offense and the defense. So we just got to go out there, like I said, and just play ball and look at the right things and do our job. At the end of the day, we do our job on the defensive side. Man, we're going to give our offense a lot of chances to score points.
Appreciate it, Reggie.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Reggie. Thanks, everyone. We'll have Jamal Agnew up next.
All right. Y'all be good.
Hey, you and Justin Coleman obviously worked pretty closely last year, in that defense and in that nickel spot. I'm just curious. I saw today, you guys had a one-on-one rep and he got a little physical. You were calling for a flag and you guys were chirping a little bit. Just what has it been like to now go against that guy after, kind of being that duo, those partners last year, and now you guys face off pretty much every day? What's that been like for you?
I mean, it's been fun. I mean, I always used to mess with JC. Like if I played receiver, I'd route you every time. We kind of banter like that all the time. But I mean, JC is a great player, so being able to learn from him last year and then being able to compete against him this year has been great, and it's been helping me a lot with the transition. But yeah, we got pretty physical right there. I was pushing off a little bit, he was grabbing a little bit, but I mean that's ball, and that's the fun part about it.
Dave.
Hey Jamal, good to see you. Two things for you just on the whole transition to wide receiver. First, can you just kind of walk us through? I mean, I know you played a little bit at the end of last year at the position, but how did it come about? Who suggested it to you, and what was your first reaction when they suggested that the position change?
I mean, since my rookie year, they've been periodically using me on offense. Just trying to get the ball in my hands, decoy a little bit. But obviously we had some injuries last year. Both Marvs going down. So they needed people to fill those roles, and I told them, I was like, if you need me, I got you. So they kind of started easing me into it, and then towards I think the Green Bay game when Kenny had went down, I got like 20 something snaps or something like that. I got a pretty good amount of snaps, and we might just they kind of just mentioned like we might just keep you over here and see where it goes from there. And we haven't looked back since. So I'm happy. I'm loving it. Obviously I'll do whatever it takes to help the team win. But it's been pretty fun on the offensive side this year.
Justin yesterday kind of marveled at the ease in which you've made the transition. How has playing cornerback helped with that? And do you still sneak in on some of the cornerback meetings at all? Do you still do anything defensively, I guess?
I've primarily been offense, but it definitely helped me a lot with the transition, just from understanding defensive concepts and everything, attacking leverage and everything. But it definitely was a challenge learning and everything, different type of play calls. Obviously the playbook is a little bit different. The huddle call is a lot different. I think that's what got me at first was the huddle calls. But it's been pretty smooth so far. And, I'm fortunate enough to be able to learn from guys like Danny, Marv, Kenny, and them. I've got some great vets in the room. So, I'm just learning day by day, getting better every day. And, I'm having fun with it.
Thank you.
Justin?
Hey, Jamal, what was your past like as an offensive player? Did you do any of that in high school or college, or has that kind of been more of a pro transition?
I played both ways in high school. I mostly played running back, though, but in college, I kind of used to tell my head coach to let me play both ways. He only let me return my senior year. I was trying to get him to let me do that all 4 years, but he was just really stubborn. But I always wanted to play offense. I like having the ball in my hands. I like making plays, but I've been loving it so far. Like I said, I'm happy with the transition. Whatever I can do to help the team win, to be honest.
And this has been a mess of an offseason. You got robbed of all those early reps as so many others did, but making the position change, that's a little rougher. How did you approach the offseason in terms of guys maybe you worked out with, and then did you do any tape study of wide receivers around the league, maybe similar body types to kind of get a feel for the position of what you maybe wanted to accomplish there?
Yeah, we had a crazy offseason. I think RP, Coach Prince, kind of put it this way. Missing OTAs, we missed out on like hundreds of reps that we could have got better at. But I think this offseason actually really helped me a lot personally, just because I got the opportunity to just sit back and just learn everything, digest everything. Obviously I'm starting from scratch, formations, different type of shifts and, hots and everything. So I think the offseason definitely helped me where I can just sit down and, just dive into the playbook and just learn as much as possible, as fast as possible. So definitely really helped me. So even though it was a crazy offseason.
What's your favorite route?
I mean, I'm learning with all of them, obviously I like routes where, I get to use my speed, but, I'm trying to get to that point where, I can run anything.
Got time for one more, Mike?
Yeah. Jamal, was there any trepidation about doing this? Because you're making this move at the top level, and let's be honest, you're in a contract year. Was there any concern of saying, I might be putting myself in a bad spot, especially once everything happened with COVID too, and you wouldn't get those reps?
Not at all, to be honest. You know, I'm fully confident in, you know, my ability to learn, you know, adapt and, you know, get better. Like I said, I want to do whatever I can to help the team, whether that's, you know, special teams, defense, offense. You know, I tell Matt P all the time, I can do it all. But, you know, I definitely wasn't concerned at all because, you know, I'm a pretty quick learner. It was just a matter of going out there on the field and executing everything, which we didn't get to do this offseason. But like I said, just being able to sit down and just, you know, dive into the playbook and learn as much as possible definitely helped me so much.
Did they give you any assurances when they kind of said, hey, maybe we're going to do this full time, and saying we're going to give you time to learn this and to figure it out? Or were you kind of going in not knowing what to expect as far as what the coaches might?
I mean, they made it pretty clear that, you know, I was going to be transitioning to the other side of the ball. I mean, they're treating me, you know, just like every other player. They expect me to come in, know what I got to do and, you know, do my job at a high level. So, and I'm fine with that. Hold myself accountable to that anyway. So, you know, I'm ready for anything.
Thanks, Jamal. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Jamal. Appreciate it.
Thanks.